Okay, thank you very much. So we have two courses in our wildlife and conservation management at Elmwood campus. So I'm just going to kind of put them together in the emphasis is on they're both kind of running exactly the same, and they're just different levels. I'm going to talk about them together and then just explain a wee bit about the differences between them. So we have the National Certificate in Countryside Management, and we also run the Higher National Certificate in Wildlife and Conservation Management. So who are the courses for? So we have a variety of students that come onto both levels. The National Certificate is looking for students who have undertaken as minimum national 5s, but we also get students who come back who are looking at retraining as well. So sometimes we'll have students that will come in who don't have the qualifications, but they've got the experience there to actually give them a place on the course. They don't necessarily have to have the qualifications to get on it. So we always have a broad range of students and different age ranges, ranging from students who have just left school to those mature students. So it's always a really good mix, and there's a lot of group working and a lot of collaboration on the course. So moving on from that, we have the Higher National Certificate in Wildlife and Conservation Management, and this is our new revalidated course, and it's equivalent to year 1 of the degree programme. So what's unique about our approach is that students are able to obtain a qualification during each year. So we have a 2+2 approach to it. Whereas if you go down the normal conventional university route and you do year 1 and year 2 at university and then you leave, you don't get a qualification at the end of it. But by doing your H&C, you get a qualification at the end of that. H&D, you get another qualification, and then you can then go on to year 3, year 4 of your degree. So you end up with qualifications at each different stage. As with the NC, we also have a variety of different students that come onto the H&C. Some come straight from school who've already got hires already, and we'll have those that are returning to education as well, more mature students. But again, we have a lot of students who come onto the NC and will then automatically progress onto the H&C. So the NC covers modules such as we've got practical habitat management in there, we do path work, we look at sustainability, we've got geology and also animal wildlife in that part. And also the H&C covers a broad range of subjects as well. And we're looking at modules including wildlife conservation, we have interpretation and visitor management and biodiversity conservation as well. A unique thing that we have with our H&C is we actually run it in conjunction with our local ranger service as well, so the Fife Coast and Countryside Trust, and we use them to give students an experience and an insight with people actually working out there at the moment, rather than just listening to us all the time. So it's worked really well. We're in our 2nd year of doing that. We've got a good relationship with them. It's also so looking at what's unique about the course, we have a mixture of learning. So we use different digital platforms, which we've kind of really developed and started to looking at a lot more with COVID this year, as well as class and field trips to enhance and reaffirm learning as well. So we use field trips to enhance learning for students, and we look at the theory in class as well, and then we can then go out into the field, and then the students are able to see the theory put into action. So places we've been to include Skye, we've been for our practical footpath work, been up to Ben Lawes, Angus Glens and Loch Lomond as well, and we do feel that this is an integral part of our delivery. And we've also got strong industry links with students going out with people working in natural heritage. We also have in-class support for those students that also require additional help as well. On top of this, if students are able to, we do offer additional courses for students, for example, chainsaw course, a first aid course, and these are sometimes done at reduced cost for students as well. So with both the courses that we do offer, we do a lot of collaborative learning, and we do think it's a key for students in developing them, looking at gaining confidence through group work, improving social skills, and as well as feeling part of a wider community as well. We also encourage students to go out and undertake volunteering, as this really helps to raise their profiles as well as filling in their CV. Okay, have a next slide, Caroline. So looking at progression and what students can go on to do. So we have a look at this up here in the left hand corner. You can see this is our progression route. So our national certificate starts off at level 5 and level 6. So some students will come into that, and it's amazing what different types of students do come onto it. I've had students which have come out the forces, which have gone on to the NC. I've had students who've got a master's degree already and they come onto the NC because it allows them to undertake all the kind of the basic knowledge and start to build on it. So we do recommend, if you can, and you have got the time to do it, to come onto the NC, as this will give you that broad basic understanding. Moving on from there, we've got the HNC in Wildlife and Conservation Management. And as I said before, that's equivalent to year 1 of a degree. At the end of that, they come up with the HNC. They can then progress onto the HND and then through to their degree. And if they want to, we go to master's level as well at different campuses. I've put some of the jobs down there in the bottom right hand corner that students have gone on to. So ecological surveying, we've got countryside rangers, site wardens, people have gone into forestry, we've got environmental education and have gone into it as well. And I put up a couple of profiles of some past students that we've had. So Jenny in the top right hand corner, she came to us as a mature student and she did a degree in English literature, and she decided that she didn't want to do what she wanted to do and came back onto our HNC, and she now works over at Loch Lomond as on the Carrick golf course, which is Cameron House, and she is a conservation ranger over there. So decided she hated what she did and wanted to retrain. Whereas we've got Simon down the bottom left hand corner, and Simon came to us straight from school. I think he was 17 when he joined us about 7 years ago, and he had some basic qualifications at school, but he was kind of disengaged with school and wanted to be outside all the time. So he undertook his NC, and then he did his NC, HNC with us, went up to Aberdeen, and he did his HND and his first year of his degree up there. He did loads of volunteering at St Cyrus. He did an internship with SNH, which was provided, well, sourced through the college, and he has just got his first full-time job over at Loch Leven. He is assistant site warden down there. So yeah, so hard work paying off. But so it just gives you an idea of the different types of students we get and the opportunities that are there, and the sort of jobs that they can go into at the end. Thank you.
That's great, thanks Victoria. Okay, and we're now going to move on to the gamekeeping. We've got Jim there.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Yeah, good evening all. Yeah, Caroline, right. Just first and foremost, I'd just like to say something to what Phil Walken said early on about horticulture, where everybody thinks that all they do is dig holes and cut grass sometimes all day. Gamekeeping has got this kind of stereotype behind it as well, where everybody thinks that all we do is wander about the countryside and persecute things and shoot things, and we're very uncaring and barbaric. And I'd just like to say that's far from the truth. A lot of positives in modern day gamekeeping now, namely it's very much conservation minded at heart. Gamekeepers have quite a pivotal role in managing rural Scotland. So it's basically management of species and habitats. We also serve the hospitality industry and the food sector, which is all positive, in terms of the learning curve that students would get when they come to Elmwood. Currently, we are delivering NC gamekeeping and wildlife management. So to come to the college here, we would, it's a preference if the candidates have some kind of work experience behind them, or some relevant experience of some sort. So they spent time with somebody in the field, or indeed maybe spent time with local gamekeepers and stuff. It does give a good foundation block for what lies ahead on the course. The course is very much, the NC course is very much practical orientated. We have a local estate, which is about 2.5 miles from the college, that is basically a playground. So students will be on there every day, sometimes all day, sometimes for half a day, then back to a classroom for some underpinning knowledge relating to gamekeeping skills. They also help to manage shoot days, currently during the shooting season as well, so they'll have a big role to play in that. The planning behind it, actually conducting it, and then the post activities, which would be, and Ros touched on it earlier, with hospitality. So we've got this link with hospitality. So the game would come back to the college. We have first class resources there. We've just had like animal care, had a bit of recent investment where we have a state of the art larder for large and small game. So the game in question would come back there. students would learn how to basically handle it in the field, transport it, get it into proper storage, then prepare it ready for the table. So that whole journey from field to fork as well. So that's just one of the aspects that they would be involved in as well. Along with that game movement as well, Ros mentioned earlier, we do supply the hospitality department with game as well, so that they can also do their thing with it too. On the course as well, the NC Gamekeeping, there are placements on the course, which I'll speak about in a kind of later slide anyway. So along with the NC Gamekeeping, we also have SPQ Level 2 in Gamekeeping and Wildlife Management, which is a vocational award. So all the assessment is taking place in the workplace. We're just actually taking off for this one, so we've not got a huge amount of students involved with this one at the minute, but it is out there, and we're currently starting to deliver it again. Likewise with HNC, Gamekeeping and Wildlife Management, the last time we delivered it might have been almost 10 years ago or slightly over. We've just had the good promising news that is about to be reinstated. So we are currently about to start development with HNC and Gamekeeping and Wildlife Management. So what are the courses suitable for? Obviously for people that want to pursue a career in gamekeeping in upland or lowland Scotland, rural Scotland, sorry. And the type of people we tend to get is kind of school leavers, so people coming right from school. And we've got that middle ground, people coming from the fabrication industry, retail, you know, all walks of life, coming back as also as mature returnees for a career change, really. Can I have the next slide, please, Caroline? So the studies on the courses mostly relate to upland and lowland gamekeeping. So that's a kind of unique selling point for us. There are another 2 colleges in Scotland, one in the north of Scotland that namely delivers upland gamekeeping, and there's one in lowland Scotland near the borders, which is subject to lowland gamekeeping. So we're kind of unique in that aspect, in that we can deliver lowland and upland gamekeeping skills within these awards. As I stated earlier, the local estate along the road here, just next to the Scottish Deer Centre, so we have about 1,100 acres to play with in there. So when students are on there on a daily basis, they'll undertake habitat management, pest and predator control, management of game, and we're actually involved in a programme with red squirrels at the moment. So there is a good cohort of red squirrels there. So our job at the moment is to try and enhance that population too. Along with the lowland practical skills, we obviously deliver upland skills as well, and we do this through putting students out to work placements, and we have field trips, so that would be for grouse, red grouse and red deer, and any other land management activities associated with upland gamekeeping skills. So these placements are very, very valuable, and it seems to strike a chord with students. They really do enjoy them. Students, the onus is on the student for to go and pick out or arrange their placement, as this enables them to, you know, help to carve out a career choice, getting, you know, as they're progressing on their course. Other things that we've got in there too is a deer management qualification level 1. So this seems to be the way ahead now. The government are saying that anybody that's working with deer, either recreationally or individually, just 1 or 2 for the pot every year, that you will need to have some kind of training behind you relevant to deer management. So this one is very valuable. So we also deliver that. It's a bolt-on qualification to the courses, along with the ATV training and the snaring accreditation. We also do a safe shop, so there is weapons handling and discharge here, as you can see in one of the images there. So it basically teaches students, if they're choosing to have a career in gamekeeping, then obviously weapons are part of the working tools, to say the least. So we do give them a pretty robust training with regards to that, and a Safe Shot award to go along with it. Can I have the next slide, please, Caroline? So opportunities. So where are they going? You know, once they've completed and achieved their award, people tend to think that it is a small industry sector, but it does support rural Scotland in a lot of different ways. For example, annually it generates £115 million to the Scottish rural economy through field sports and tourism to the countryside in the winter months. Along with that, students in terms of employment, so they're likely to go. Fife is not a stronghold for gamekeeping as such, or there is you know, a cohort of full-time gamekeepers there, but from Perthshire northwards and the Scottish borders seems to be the stronghold. So a lot of sporting estates, you know, are geographically within these areas. So students, after 1 year, the bulk of students tend to basically want to enter industry. So they're actually going for pursuing positions as trainees on sporting estates. Forestry Commission, they can also apply for positions there as a forestry ranger. So that's mostly deer management. Contract stalking, again with SNH. So that's the government body that's responsible for deer management in Scotland, and obviously pest controllers and wildfowl guides. So there's a diverse range in scope of opportunities there. They can also choose to go in and do the vocational award, the level 2 that we mentioned earlier. So an opportunity would come along with these sporting estates, and students would go there to achieve that award. H&C gamekeeping and wildlife management, I've mentioned, it's currently being developed. There is scope to go elsewhere. There, as I mentioned earlier, there are 2 other colleges, but you know, hopefully within the next year or 2, that opportunity will arise in Elmwood here. So next slide, Caroline, or is that it?
That's your lot, Jim.
That's it. Yep. So yep, that capitalises and concludes gamekeeping, really. Thank you.
That's great, thank you. And next up, we are going to look at land-based and rural skills, and hopefully I've got Tony there.
Hi, Caroline. Yep. Do you want video on or off?
It's up to you.
I'll stick video on, just why not? Okay, so I cover 3 courses at the college here at Elmwood. The first one is a pre-entry course that's open to pupils at secondary schools from sort of S4, 5, 6 kind of age range. It's a taster session. It's a minimum 8 weeks where the pupils, when they come in, have to do 8 tasks over a period of time. And it's a minimum of 8 weeks, so they can actually extend beyond that if, for instance, they've got dental appointments or something on at school, that kind of thing. They can extend up to, well, we've had a few that have been in for pretty much the whole year. Normally what we do is start this course round about the October break and run 2 cohorts, one up to round about Christmas and the other one from New Year on through. The aim is to get students who are particularly disengaged with school for whatever reason. Either they're not good at classroom learning or they've got disruptive behaviour or whatever. And they're looking for something that's a little bit more practical. And it's aimed at giving them a sort of a range of experiences on the sort of courses that we deliver here at Elmwood. So all of the 8 tasks are chosen from areas in other mainstream courses, sort of just taster sessions in things like tree planting or looking at animals or working with machinery, that kind of thing. You can see some examples there in the photographs. They get a small locally generated certificate at the end of the course, but more importantly, I get to see them and they get an idea of what the course is like and then hopefully they'll apply for the course the following year, a full-time course on one of the other two that I'm going to talk about. Obviously this year things are on hold due to COVID, so we're not actually running the pre-entry course this year, but we're hoping it'll start up again next September, October, round about then. So the main courses I run, two of them, Certificate in Land-Based Studies is the first. Again, it's aimed at people who've come in from school, mostly in the 16, 17, 18-year-old age range. It's a locally devised course. It's intended, again, as an introduction to the main courses that we provide. It's at level 4. And again, there's a whole range of units taken from everything from hospitality to horticulture to greenkeeping to forestry, just to give them some experience and maybe some ideas of what they would like to look at in their full-time college career. Most of the courses have very little paperwork. It's very much practical based. It's aimed at people who maybe don't engage so well with classroom activities, but are really good with their hands, want to work outdoors, maybe have some background experience from working on farms or helping parents in the garden or whatever. The course is supported by 2 support workers most of the time. So there's guidance and support there for any needs, dyslexia, learning disabilities, whatever. Yeah. Normal progression from that is then on into the rural skills, which is again at a level 4 intermediate NC award. It has got a group framework through the SQA, so it's a little bit higher level. Mainly through the fact that it has 6 mandatory units. So out of the 18 units that the students study, they have to achieve 6 of those units. So there's that little bit of a step up. There's also a little bit more paperwork involved, and what we expect back in the way of paperwork, we expect a little bit higher standard in literacy, numeracy, and ICT skills. This and the land-based course try to simulate workplace environments as much as we can. So a lot of it, again, is practical. Again, it's taken from a whole bunch of other parts of the college, so forestry, construction, there's some gamekeeping units in it. And we expect the sort of behaviour that an employer would expect. So it's maybe a little different for some of these kids to get their head around in terms of what they were used to at school. Normally we work with local landowners and charities, and normally there's work experience embedded within it. But obviously this year things are a little different. So mostly this year it's being based on SRUC campus and facilities. But hopefully next year we'll be able to go back further afield and for instance, work in a local woodland where we work with a local charitable trust to help deliver their woodland management plans. So that's kind of what I should say about the progression from that. Normally kids on this one progress into either horticulture, wildlife management, gamekeeping, but we have had folk go on to hospitality, forestry, even occasionally things like hair and beauty, not at this college, but at others. Yeah, anyway, that's a brief overview.